Okay, I'm going to go ahead on and start because we're under some time constraints. And first of all, I'm John Wiley Price, and my counterpart is on here with me, Councilman Tennell Atkins, and we're welcoming you to the fourth annual Inland Port Symposium. And we're going to dispense with a lot of the deals, but I am going to open this by first of all having a moment of silence. The moment of silence is not only for one of our officers, the late Curtis Dean McCowan, who was an officer in this Transit Management Association, but the moment of silence is also for Chief Spiller, who was the chief of the Dart Police for many years and gave a real sacrifice. His services are today, and we know there are a number of people who are on the call who want to be there. So I welcome you. It's taken all of this to get us to this. The fact that we're at the fourth says a lot about us. So, Councilman, if you'll have a couple of words, then we'll move into Gary Thomas.
I just want to thank you, Commissioner Price, for your leadership on this TMA, and also thank my appointee, Gail Terrell. And Curtis Dean McCowan was a leader. I just want to make sure that our prayer go out to her family and everything she had done for this community. And I also want to thank Gary Thomas for his leadership with the TMA. I know he's leaving, but he will be here to make sure we keep the train on the track. With that, Commission, thank you again for all your leadership, everything you've done for the TMA. It's a great opportunity just to serve with you.
Thank you, Councilman. And if nothing else, COVID is revealed a lot to us, especially in the transportation industry. And of course, doesn't matter what the mode of transportation is, but we recognize in terms of people getting access to center, there is nothing in the infrastructure model, maybe more than water and sewer, that's more important than physical transportation. And with that, let me just give you Mr. Transportation, President Executive Director of DART, Mr. Gary Thomas.
Commissioner, thank you so much for the very kind introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to really be part of this really neat opportunity in a part of our community where we haven't had good transportation choices, quite frankly. We haven't had the opportunity to make sure that people get to jobs that improve their lives, quality of lives. And so this has truly been a very gratifying, humbling experience for me. And it wouldn't have happened but for Commissioner Price and Councilman Atkins leading the charge to with the energy, with the passion, and with the vision to make this happen. This is, as the Commissioner said, this is the fourth symposium for the Inland Port. And I'll walk you through those in just a minute, kind of where we started and what we've done, and where we are and where we're going. So we've got a few things to cover, and what we'd like to do is move into the agenda. I know our board chair, Mr. Wageman, Paul Wageman, was going to join, and I don't know if he's been able to do that yet. And then also in the presentation, we're going to hear from Dr. Joe Seabrooks. One of the important, critically important components as the inland port continues to grow is job training. And Dr. Seabrooks who's the president of Cedar Valley College. College has been an integral part of this entire process. So we'll hear from Dr. Seabrooks in just a few minutes. Again, I don't see Mr. Wageman. Chair Wageman would speak of DART's commitment, continuing commitment to the inland port, and our support for this as we transition the leadership. But as this really starts to take off, he would speak to how DART will continue to be very supportive of that. If we could go to the next slide, actually the map, if there you go, thank you. So as hopefully everybody on the on this call at the symposium can see the map. We've talked a lot about the inland port, the definition of the inland port, where it is, the cities that are within it. And I think the thing that we continue to come back to is the inland port. Only 20% of the inland port is within the city or within the DART service area. So that means 80% of the inland port is outside the DART service area. And again, hasn't had good transportation choices up until this point. If we go to the next slide, please. As you can see, we did start this in 2018, on March 9th, 2018, at the request of the commissioner and the councilman. DART hosted a meeting, and we hosted that meeting at University of North Texas. We didn't know who was going to show up, but as it turned up, a lot of people showed up, a lot of folks that were very focused on this and very interested in this. And again, it wasn't the first time this conversation had occurred. Commissioner Price had been really challenging all of us for some time to figure this out. And so that was that first meeting where we could all really come together and start to brainstorm what that would look like. And the outcome of that was that we really need to set up a transportation management association that really provided a membership opportunity for everybody to join in to an organization and to fund that organization that provided transportation choices throughout. So if you go to the next slide, please. We then started down a path of, okay, really starting up a new business. So we created a board of directors. And this, as you can see on the screen, this is our board of directors. Our chair is Alberta Blair, who also works for Dallas County. Our vice chair is Frankie Lloyd from Home Depot. Our secretary is Trudy Lewis, who has graciously agreed to step into that secretary role upon the passing of Mayor McCowan. Fabrice Cabona from City of Lancaster, Gail Terrell, as the councilman said, is the appointee from City of Dallas. Todd Plesko is the appointee from DART. Dwayne Dankesrider is the Senior Vice President of Research and Innovation at the Dallas Chamber. And Mike Rader is with Prime 45 Development. All of these people have a critical role in the TMA in our region, and most importantly, as it relates to the Transportation Management Association. Next slide, please. I'll run through the history very quickly, but just suffice it to say that once that decision was made on March 9th, 2018, a lot of work had to be done to, as I said, really stand this company up. It's a startup. So that means that we have to go through all the certifications, the formations, the filings of all the paperwork. We have to set up all the bank accounts. So we have to get all the parts and pieces in place. And we did that. And then the other part is we had to come up with some funding to really kick this off. And we went to the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and I have to give credit to Michael Morris, who stepped up and said, I will facilitate a federal grant to the Inland Port TMA to stand this up, to stand this organization up, to get it started. And Michael did that to the tune of $1 million. And so that was how we kind of started that process. We held our second symposium that same year, December 19th, 2018, at Redbird Mall. And then December 30th, the chamber really got the ball rolling with a $40,000 contribution to the IPTMA. Next slide, please. And then time continued, and the dartboard contributed their $40,000. IPTMA received its nonprofit status. The city of Hutchins came in at $10,000. Dallas County came in at $40,000. And so, as you can see, the governmental entities understanding the importance of the inland port and the Transportation Management Association started putting the money where their mouth was, and really started contributing the dollars that would make up and have made up the local match for that $1 million grant. On December 18th, we held the third symposium, again at the University of North Texas. Next slide, please. And as many of you were probably at those symposiums, I was at those symposiums, I can remember very vividly the conversations on March 9th in 2018, the conversation in December at Redbird Mall, the conversation in December back at UT. Each one of these was a progression. But I also know that a lot of people were sitting in the audience saying, yeah, we're not so sure this is really going to happen. Prove it to us. Show us that you can really pull this off. So we entered 2020 ready to go and excited about it. We had our federal grant agreement executed, and so we're focused on it. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And rather than slow down, our team, the board of the TMA, was even more focused and more dedicated to making sure this happened. In May of this past year, the board approved the service plan. In other words, what kind of service are we going to put on the street? How are we going to make sure that we provide these transportation choices that we've talked about so many times? And then in August, Lancaster joined, and that service began in November 2nd. And, you know, again, because of the pandemic, that time period came and went. November 2nd came and went, but that was a day that was so significant because it really did signal a change in the port. On that day, people then had the opportunity to have a transportation choice to get to work. And as many of the businesses in the inland port know and can tell you over and over again, one of their biggest challenges in sustainability in this area is making sure that people can get to work, making sure that people show up for their jobs on a consistent and regular basis. And as we all know, but also many of us take for granted, that is critical. Many of the people that are working in these facilities are essential workers. And we've seen this certainly during the pandemic, where in many parts of our community, traffic has slowed down. In many parts of our community, people have started working from home. In this particular area, that's not an option. These people have to show up to work. They have to be there. They have to be on site at the facility, doing what they do every day to make sure the rest of us can do what we do. And, you know, if you're like me, you've got packages showing up on your front porch every day. Well, many of those packages are in some form or fashion coming through the inland port. And that's where they're distributed. In many cases, that's where things happen. And without those people showing up for those jobs, without those people having a transportation choice, many of these things wouldn't happen. And all of a sudden, we would feel this a lot more than we do. So November 2nd, I just can't emphasize enough how critical that day was, how important that day was for this region, certainly for the inland port and for the men and women that work in the inland port. Showing up for those jobs without those people having a transportation. As you can see, the slide on the screen now shows the Go Link zone. And if you go to the next slide, please, we actually had that service that we actually put in place is a Go Link service. So if you're familiar with the DART services, you know that we have trains, we know that we have buses. But we also have but we also have an on-demand service. And what that means is that many parts of our service area, we don't have good bus service. Just like in the inland port where we didn't have good bus service. So what we've done is we've said, look, we're going to allow you to go through the GoPass app, tell the app where you are, where you want to be, and there'll be a van that will show up and it will take you where you want to go in the inland port. Then we'll also link to the UNT rail station and other DART key locations. So it connects the inland port to all of the rest of the North Texas area from a transportation standpoint. The GoLink operation starts at 5 a.m. It goes to 8 p.m. It operates Monday through Friday. And many of the business community people said, well, that's great, but a lot of our employees work outside of those hours. So we said, okay. And if you go to the next slide, what we did is then we decided on, next slide, please. This shows the zones, and I believe it's the next slide will tell us the other part of how we, there it is, the inland port rides services. So if you're operating outside of the 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. time frame, then you can still use the service. The inland port TMA will subsidize those trips at a rate of $3 per trip to make sure that everybody has the opportunity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get to where they need to go within the inland port. So the service started, as I said, November 2nd. We're obviously well into that now. If you go to the next slide. What I'd like to do is introduce Ryan McCutcheon, and Ryan is in DART's planning department. And Ryan will give us a brief update on how those services have performed in the first 2.5 months. Ryan?
Thank you, Gary.
Yes.
Gary, this is Paul Wageman. I've been on the meeting, but was not able to speak for some reason through the video. So if you'd like me to make some remarks at the appropriate time, I'm pleased to do so.
Well,
if that doesn't work, that's fine as well.
No, Mr. Chairman, we're glad to have you. Welcome on behalf of me and Councilman Atkins and the entire Inland Port Transit Management Association. We want to hear from you now, please.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. That's very kind of you. And I apologize to everyone for the delay in joining and my challenges here this morning. As Gary indicated, my name is Paul Wageman. I am currently the chairman of the DART Board of Directors, and I wanted to welcome everyone today and thank you for attending this 4th annual Inland Port Virtual Symposium Employer Forum. Very much appreciate you giving me a moment here to make some brief comments. It's almost trite at this point to say 2020 was a year that none of us would like to repeat. But the successful start of service for the Southern Dallas County Inland Port Transportation Management Association was truly one of the brightest spots for DART this past year. You know, for a number of years, DART has been transitioning from a train and bus operation to a provider of mobility solutions. And we're seeking to be flexible and responsive to the needs of the communities we serve. The Southern Dallas County Inland Port Management Association is just such a solution. DART is grateful for the support of Councilmember Atkins and Commissioner Price, as their commitment to providing transportation solutions for the inland port was essential to its creation. As Gary was just mentioning to you, the Southern Dallas Inland Port has seen explosive growth over the last couple of years, providing much needed jobs and stability for residents across North Texas and an important driver of the economic development for the entire community. Thanks to the efforts of the council member and City of Dallas, as well as Commissioner Price in Dallas County, as well as all the employers, developers, transit agencies, and local governments of North Texas, the Inland Port Management Association was formed to connect workers and companies to desperately needed transportation solutions. Through this partnership, the IPTMA will strengthen the transportation access that is needed for this inland port to realize its tremendous economic potential. And DART is just pleased to be a part of that that ongoing effort, and we're committed to this effort for the long haul. On behalf of DART, we're looking forward to continuing to partner with you for many years to come to develop and expand the transportation opportunities for the Southern Dallas Inland Port area. Commissioner, thank you again for allowing me to speak today, and thank you for all your leadership on this important initiative.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and you've said the words. Michael Morris and the North Central Texas Council of Governments came in and funded, but we knew at the end of the day, regardless of who else we brought in as providers, we needed the transportation brain trust of this region, and really, of this country, to be involved in the intricacies of a area that is larger than the city of Atlanta. We have a whole area that's larger than the city of Atlanta that was basically, not served. And I think Mr. Thomas said it best. I mean, only 20% is in the DART service area and in the city of Dallas. And so we welcome your commitment to this, and thank you for, again, allowing your brain trust and Mr. Thomas to be a part of. Councilman, you look like you're trying to say something. Councilman, were you trying to speak? Okay. But anyway, we just want to thank you. Thank you for taking time out and being with us. And like I said, on behalf of my co-chair, Councilman Atkins, and all of the providers here, just thank DART for being a part of it.
Thank you, Commissioner. We very much appreciate it and appreciate your leadership.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Chair Waisman. Without the board's support, obviously, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this. So, and I know Mr. Waisman has been a leader on our board as chair, certainly, and even prior to that, very focused on how we provide the best services throughout the region. So thank you again, Chair Waisman.
Thank you, Gary.
You bet. Next, I'll now turn it over to Ryan McCutcheon, and Ryan will tell us how the service is performing for the first 2.5 months. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Good morning. My name is Ryan McCutcheon, and I'm a transit planner in the Innovative Services Group at DART. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for being here today as we examine the trends of the Inland Port TMA service. Next slide, please. Today, I will discuss 3 key elements of the service for the Inland Port TMA. First, I will cover ridership for the service area. Second, I will cover ridership for this. Second, I will discuss the trip patterns of the ridership. And last, I will share a couple of key performance indicators we are actively monitoring. Since the beginning of the service, we have seen a steady increase in ridership. During the first month of service, we saw an average of 51 riders per weekday. In December, that number grew to an average of 54 riders per weekday. This month, the average weekday ridership bumped up to 57, and we are reporting data through January 15th of this month. For a new service, this bodes extremely well for future growth. Next slide, please. This map that you see on your screen represents nearly 3,100 trips taken over a 2.5-month time frame. From the beginning, we have seen a high concentration of trips from the DART UNT and Ledbetter stations and the Amazon facilities, most notably Fulfillment Center 1 and 8. As the service matures, we see growth along the perimeter of the Inland Port TMA boundaries. For example, there is a healthy amount of activity occurring in the western region in the Methodist Charlton Medical Center area. Further south, riders are accessing the Inland Port TMA service to make trips to and from the Crossing Shopping Center. And on the eastern side of the service area, we are beginning to see trips accumulate. There are numerous businesses along the Southport Parkway corridor, such as the Ace Hardware Distribution Center, Amazon Sort Center 9, the Schneider facility, and Southport Logistics, to name a few. We anticipate tremendous growth in these sectors of the Inland Port TMA as employers and employees are informed of the service. Next slide, please. Finally, we will discuss metrics that we are actively monitoring. The number of unique riders has steadily increased since November. In the first month of service, there were 96 unique riders, and in December, we reached 108 riders. As of January 15th, we have already had 93 unique riders for this month. One of the great things, or the interesting things about the unique riders that we are looking at, is 59% of the riders have made 10 or more trips since the beginning of service. Next slide, please. One of the great benefits of the GoPass app is our ability to receive feedback of the service's performance. Of those who have rated the system, we have seen exemplary marks for the first 3 months. Both in November and December, the service received a 4.8 reading. And this month, the customer satisfaction rating has increased to 4.9. Next slide, please. Again, I want to thank you for your time today. And if you have any questions, please go to the chat box and we will be able to address them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate the information. And I guess just to summarize very quickly, Ryan gave us the numbers, but I think the exciting part is that we started this November 2nd, and as you could see, the growth in ridership every month with very little outreach, quite frankly, on the fact that the service exists is incredibly encouraging and very exciting. The challenge, of course, is now to really take this seed and, if you think of it in terms of a tree, we've planted the seed, we've got this small tree that's popping out of the ground now, and it's really starting to take hold. The roots are starting to grow deep, and we need to continue to nourish this. We need to continue to water it. We need to continue to get the word out that this service is available to folks trying to get to work or get to the grocery store or wherever they're going in the inland port. And to do that, we really needed someone that had the energy, the passion, the ability to do this full time, to take this opportunity on and push this to the next level where we all know it can go where it needs to go. And so while the board was very focused on doing all the things that we needed to do, getting the organization in place, and then putting that service in place starting on November 2nd, we also appreciated and realized that we needed to have a full-time executive director. And so the board went through that process and very diligently looked at what we wanted that executive director to do, and then who we wanted that executive director to be. And the board, after looking through a lot of resumes, it was narrowed down to just very few people, but one person stood out. One person had that energy, had that enthusiasm that literally can fill the room, can fill the building, can fill the entire inland port. She is fired up. She's ready to go. And she understands the business. She understands what's going on in the inland port because of her background. So I'm very, very pleased today to introduce Laura Freeland, the Executive Director of the Inland Port Transportation Management Association. Laura, would you like to make a few comments?
Thank you, Gary. To everyone on the call and everyone who's going to listen to this afterwards on the recording, I am just so grateful and so honored to be in this role. As Gary mentioned, I have a business background, logistics. I am a cargo gal. So my first job in corporate America was American Airlines cargo, and my last job in corporate America was Qatar Airways cargo in the Middle East. So you can imagine just the incredible luck that I have, that I had the opportunity to work in a job that's logistics, cargo focused, but also community focused. That's something I've always been involved with, is here in the Dallas community. And I couldn't be more honored to have the opportunity to have a role that has such an important part to play in making sure we get the word out that we have a fantastic product, and we need to get that word out to all the Inland Port employees and the companies, and it's everyone on the call who's going to help me. So I look forward to working with you all, and I look forward to sharing more information later today. So thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Laura. We really are excited you're here. We appreciate your vision, your drive, and your enthusiasm, and we'll look forward to hearing from you a little bit later in the program. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Seabrooks. While the role of IPTMA is certainly to help get workers to employers in the Inland Port, we recognize the important linkage between workforce training and the health and vitality of the Inland Port. They help train the future workers in the Inland Port, and we help get them to their jobs once they're out in the workforce. We're so lucky to have 3 higher education institutions in the Inland Port: UNT Dallas, Paul Quinn College, and of course, Dallas College Cedar Valley campus. They're also critically important to training the workforce of tomorrow. We're excited to partner with the Dallas College Cedar Valley campus on the symposium today. And I want to welcome Dr. Joe Seabrooks, president of the Cedar Valley campus, to share with us what they are doing and how you can better connect with them. Dr. Seabrooks?
Good morning. Thank you for that very kind introduction, Mr. Thomas. I'm pleased to be here today. Commissioner Price, definitely am honored to be in your presence, and thank you for your leadership. The same thing with Councilman Atkins. I don't think you get enough recognition for getting this incredible opportunity to our community. And I'm excited to work with Lori. You're legendary in your reputation, and I'm excited to just share a few opportunities or things with you that I think can add to the transformation and growth, the dynamic growth of the Inland Port. So quickly, if you can advance the slide, please. I will just do a few things this morning. In 25 minutes or less, I promise to give you a college overview, share with you what my role is and my purpose, express a few potential game changers to add to the magnificent things that are happening with GoLink and the transportation pieces, and then give you a few important dates, and then most importantly, to get better acquainted. I'm here to serve our community, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you throughout our journey together. And that's my contact information, and I'll.
We lost you there, Doctor, in terms of.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have your bill with you? Or, yeah, okay.
Excellent, excellent. Next slide, please. And so quickly, a quick college overview. Dallas College, next slide, has been around since 1965. We have 7 campuses strategically located. Our illustrious chancellor is Dr. Joe May, who's led our transformation from 7 independently accredited colleges to one very powerful, unified institution. Our current tuition is $79 per credit hour if you're a Dallas County resident, and that includes all of the books and learning materials. We currently have about 85,000 students who are pursuing credit, degrees, and certificates, but another 19,000 who are doing non-credit continuing education programs. We produce about 14,000 graduates with associate degrees and certificates, and about another 1,800 who are getting short-term certificates. Please advance the slide. So let me tell you what my role and purpose is. Next slide. So quick, I'm here to do 3 things. 95% of my time is designed to address business and industry needs, to assist in the solving community problems, and to expand students' access to our curriculum. And I hope to have the opportunity to work closely with folks on this call or on the recording. Again, that's my contact information. Find me at LinkedIn, and let's get busy on these 3 things. Next slide, please. So here are 3 things I'd like to share with you that I hope will add to the ability to advance the direction of the Inland Port. The 3 things I will share with you are opportunities with customized training and apprenticeships, an opportunity to connect with our career services units at our 7 campuses, and then to share with you a subsidized internship program that I think will also be a game changer. Please advance. So we have worked with 3 incredible partners. Workforce Solutions of Greater Dallas has been a magnificent partner, along with the Texas Workforce Commissioner. And we have an organization called Work Ready U that's part of our across all 7 campuses that produce magnificent results. Just recently, during the pandemic, we were able to support through public grants about 710 employees through 9 companies, and we spent about almost $250,000 retooling companies, helping them power through or pivot through the pandemic. For some examples of some of the training that we produced was advanced customer service, good manufacturing practices, productivity cross-training, and the most popular training was COVID-19 in the workplace, safety precautions, and social distancing. About 425 folks got trained at no cost to the businesses or the employees. Please advance. The other opportunity that's game changing, we would love to connect with more of the businesses in the Inland Port to pursue and obtain and deliver apprenticeships. You know, if you're not familiar with apprenticeships, a quick Cliff Notes lesson. Apprenticeships assist businesses keep up with industry advancements, help you build and retain a pipeline of skilled employees, create a culture of mentorship at your organization, and more importantly, help employees earn and learn and obtain recognized Department of Labor certificates. What Dallas College can do for you is to help you design and register your programs with the Department of Labor. We can also serve as a sponsor to manage all of the details that go with that. And we can assist with administration, and we can be a source and train veterans who really should be benefiting from this program exponentially. Some examples of active programs that currently exist: we have programs in automotive, construction, culinary, healthcare, IT, logistics, manufacturing, and the public sector as well down at the airport. So never hesitate to reach out. We want to get more of these going to help us move forward with the workforce needs in the Inland Port. Please advance. So the second thing that's a game changer is this thing that we call career pathways. Every student who's interested in some level of instruction at Dallas College have to make a decision quickly on what pathway they want to pursue. There's 7 pathways up here that aligns with our 7 new schools of, and it's very important to help us guide students to the direction that they want to go. And you can see industry, manufacturing, and construction and logistics fall under that particular school and that pathway. In addition to that, students who are not quite sure what they want to do, many of us are not quite sure what we want to do when we grow up, and we have a tool called Choices 360. And that helps students discover their path. It's an instrument that helps guide students on the right pathway of their academic programs and career. And we want to help leverage these tools to help you all as business leaders connect with the students who are interested in your profession. Next slide, please. So a perfect example of that, you know, we have 85,000 students, and just showing up to Cedar Valley or Richland or Mountain View or Eastfield and just say, I want to recruit students, you know, it's almost like a needle in a haystack. With these resources, we can help you really streamline and directly contact the students who are pursuing credentials in your industry. Right now, spring 2021 classes just started for us on Tuesday, and we have 73 students who are enrolled in transportation and logistics. If you want to connect with those students, potentially provide an internship opportunity or recruit them for an apprenticeship, these folks have already identified that they want to be in this arena. We also have 253 students who are enrolled in a course that we have labeled as advanced manufacturing. And again, instead of coming to Cedar Valley where we have almost 10,000 students, or going up to Richland when they have almost 20,000 students, that's a needle in a haystack. We can help you connect with our career services unit and streamline the process get you directly connected with these students so you can have better outcomes with recruiting. Next slide, please. The third thing is a subsidized internship pilot. Now, internships are very different from the apprenticeship process. It's not as involved. Students do have to meet some qualifications, but I tell you, the reasons why you might want to consider that are as follows. To identify talent early in their growth and development, help students link real-world experiences to their coursework, help to screen and match students with industry. You can try it before you buy it kind of deal, and provide work experiences that align with career goals. And most importantly, catch students before they develop poor habits. And also, it can also help you better predict turnover. These experiences can be designed anywhere between 8 and 16 weeks and be renewable after every semester. You also monitor again their performance before making a full investment, and then you can have potentially external funding that starts at 50 to up to 100% to help supplement their wages. And outside of the internship experience, if they're working out for you between semesters and over the summers, you can keep them moving forward in your operation, full or part-time at your pleasure. Next slide, please. And so here's a potential example of what I would love for us to consider. In fact, we're seeking a minimum of 3 companies to support 10 internships as a pilot that will range anywhere between 8 to 16 weeks. And here's an example of what that could look like for you. A sample could be 8 weeks, 75% match. We're matching 75%, 20 hours a week, 8 weeks, $12 an hour. The company will be obligated to pay roughly $500, and the college, through our grants, again, it's an estimate, can support the vast majority of that. And again, if these young folks are working out for you, you can continue them if it's a match. Please advance. And so the last thing I'll leave you with is a couple of important dates that I want you to consider. The Best Southwest Partnership, which I also happen to be wearing another hat, in addition to serving as the president at the Cedar Valley campus of the transformed Dallas College, I also serve as the chair of the Best Southwest Partnership. That organization has been around for a very long time, and we have an annual event called the Regional Economic Development Summit. It's scheduled for the 25th of March. The time will be clarified, but it will more than likely be a morning event. And this is a great opportunity for you to connect with business leaders, our civic leaders. Many folks on the call have been featured speakers at this event historically. And it's an opportunity for us to kind of understand what our needs are socially, community-wise, as well as business, and to come together and start putting together solutions. The next event won't happen until June, but this event is all about the businesses in the Inland Port. We want to take some time and unpack our academic programs, get feedback from business and industry to make sure that we're teaching what we should be teaching, and students are prepared for day one for the job. And we want to customize that virtual form for folks, the businesses in the Inland Port. And so next slide, that concludes my brief presentation. I worked really hard to help us make up some time because I know this is a very critical day. Again, that's my contact information. Hopefully it's in the chat. Never hesitate to reach out to us. And just remember, at Dallas College, we're just not in the business of higher education. We are in the hope business, because what we provide is opportunity and hope for people to pull themselves up from their circumstances, regardless of what it may be. And I'm proud to be associated with the Inland Port Transportation Management Association. I'm proud to be a part of this movement here in Southern Dallas County. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you the power of Dallas College. Thank you.
And let me kind of jump in here. Thank you, Dr. Seabrooks, and for Best Southwest and those cities that are in my district. I appreciate both Councilman Atkins and I both. Gary, let me take this opportunity I know you have some other pressing deals, and of course, I know you've already introduced Laura Freeland. Let me just say to the board and to you and those of you who vetted candidates, and I've had the opportunity to see Ms. Freeland's vita. And so thank you for all you did. I know, again, with Chief Spiller and, those services, I don't know, your time constraints are pretty close. So if you need to take leave, we do understand that. I think Ms. Freeland can handle her own from here on. And so, we condolences to the Spiller family from all of us, and for all of the years that they've that he worked to help make transit in this community as safe as possible. And so if you need to take leave, we understand that. As I said, I think Ms. Freeland can handle herself from here.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. Chief Spiller was a true leader and a good man, and he made the world safer for all of us in so many ways throughout his career, not only at DART, but prior to that in the Air Force. So I appreciate that, and I'll certainly convey that to his family as well. Thank you, and Dr. Seabrooks, thank you. I really appreciated what you said, that you're in the business of hope. And for those folks that are listening in today, I think it's even more critical that we think about how we do internships during a time when many of us are working remotely. It's even more important than ever that we focus on those education opportunities and really growing that next group of leaders. So Dr. Seabrooks, thank you so much for what you're doing and at Cedar Valley and your participation in the Transportation Management Association. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And so I will now turn it back to Laura Freeland, because this organization is a member organization, and it's important to all of us that this organization is sustainable and that it goes on and does the mission of the Inland Port Transportation Management Association for many years to come. So Laura, I'll turn it back to you. Commissioner Price, thank you so much. Councilman Atkins, thank you for your leadership in this. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gary, thank you so much. So pleased to be able to talk to everyone today. And for those who aren't familiar with our organization, I get to talk to you a little bit more about what it is we do and how you can get involved. I'm going to keep saying this again and again. I just feel absolutely honored. I hear all of the speakers we've had today, and what it reminds me is this is a fantastic group of leaders throughout this area. City of Dallas, Dallas County, with the various areas too of Hutchins and Wilmer and DeSoto. And I know I'm getting nervous. I'm forgetting all of them right now. I apologize. This is why I don't usually speak ad hoc. But, and then also have Dr. Seabrooks. What a wonderful way to follow up with them. And I agree, Gary, that idea of that it's a business of hope is so important. So I know clearly I have a great partner in Dr. Seabrooks, and I know there's so many other partners out there, and I'm grateful. Okay, so let me get started on my presentation. So here we go. Go on and go to the next slide if you don't mind. So most of you know this. I'm going to go over this, and for those who don't, it's pretty straightforward what our mission is, right? We're here to connect companies and employees to transportation solutions in the southern Dallas County Inland Port. So how do we make these connections? Well, there's three priorities or areas of work. You've got transportation solutions, education for employees, and advocacy. First and foremost, our priority is creating transportation solutions. You know what I've quickly learned in this job, we've got a patchwork of transportation providers in the Inland Port Zone, and that's because it crosses over several cities. So think of our membership as a clearinghouse. It's going to determine the best approach to solve transportation needs. Our job is to create transportation solutions where there are currently gaps. Now, you heard about some of these solutions that were introduced in November. Ryan's gone over some of those statistics. Those solutions are there to fill in the gaps, and I'll talk more about these solutions on the next slide. Now, as we introduce transportation solutions, we need to make sure employees work for companies in the inland port are aware of these options. So that's why our second pillar, our second priority is employee education. And our final pillar is success depends on effective advocacy. You know, the reason we have the Southern Dallas County Inland Port TMA today is because of leaders such as Commissioner Price and Councilman Atkins. I clearly know we have them to thank as they push the transportation mobility agenda for the inland port. Now, as the inland port continues to grow, we need this continued advocacy. And you can go to the next slide, thanks. So let me dive deeper into these three areas and how members will benefit in each of these areas. Let's start with transportation. So you heard the previous speakers go into details about our new service offerings. We're focused on that last mile of transportation. So public transportation can get you close to the doors of your warehouse, your distribution center, your manufacturing operations, an office, basically any type of employee facilities that are there in that area. But it's that last mile that's the trickiest to solve for. And that's why our two new services are focused on that. That GoLink on demand is free to your employees between 5 a.m. 8 p.m. to get them there for that last mile. And we're supporting that by the late night rider subsidy that goes from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. to support that time period. Now, with our focus on the inland port zone, we'll evaluate our services and we will modify them as needed. As we have more member companies come on board, we'll expand our GoLink service to meet the mobility needs of our members. So far, we are pleased with how successful these services have been, especially when you consider the challenges of the pandemic. These services are currently open to all of the inland port area. And the promotion period to offer these services to all of the area goes through this April. But keep in mind, the IPTMA is a membership organization. Now, thanks to the one-time federal grant we received, we were able to kickstart these services and have them open to all of Southern Dallas County Inland Port. But to ensure it's sustainable transportation services, we are reliant on inland port companies becoming members. So now's that time to take advantage of these services. Join the IPTMA during this promotional period so that when these services become only available to members starting in May, your employees can continue to benefit from the GoLink and the late night rider subsidy. Now let me move to that next pillar, employee engagement. So you can imagine as we expand the transportation services, it's important for us to work with your HR department, your employee transportation coordinator. It's a chance for us to educate them on the transportation options so they can include that information as part of the employee onboarding, as part of training. We can join you for on-site lunch and learns, heck, come to the break room, the parking lot during shift changes to share the flyers, even to help those employees download the GoLink app. Because today they may have a secure ride to work, but tomorrow the car may break down. And we want to make sure for those ad hoc occurrences as well that your employees are ready to be able to get to work and they have that avenue.
And I know Ms. Freeland's not controlling the slide did revert. The screen reverted. Whoever's controlling the screen, the membership, it reverted. It backed up on us.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. And the last one, advocacy. So we've got to continue that advocacy. So let's go here. So why join now? Well, the reason to join now is clearly your companies become attractive to potential employees as you offer them transportation solutions. And you can expand the geography of where you recruit employees, whether you're recruiting within 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles or greater. This is going to allow you to offer transportation options other than requiring them to drive themselves or secure a ride on their own. We all know attrition is a big issue. So over the last 2 weeks, I just started at the beginning of January, and over the last 2 weeks, as I've talked to some of the companies in the region, I've heard statistics. It's 50, 70% of their employees attrit. They turn over throughout the course of the year. And the number one reason for attrition is poor attendance. And we know that poor attendance is often a result of unreliable transportation. The average cost to find a replacement, train that replacement, is anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 per employee. That quickly adds up and takes away from the bottom line of your operations. So our services, not only do they save you money as a company by reducing attrition costs, but it also saves your employees through lower commuter expenses. Finally, we see the inland port continues to experience exponential growth. As we increase the number of distribution hubs, cold storage facilities, warehouses, other employment centers in the inland port, we need to ensure we have the talent pool to meet this demand. Providing mobility and access to jobs ensures we sustain this continued growth. Next slide. So membership. Let's look at the membership. Cost of mobility is a lot more expensive if each company is dealing with this individually and in silos. It's a lot more cost effective and much more efficient if we solve this together. So that's why we've made sure our membership level pricing is affordable for companies. Now it's going to be based on the number of positions you have, whether they're full-time, part-time employees, contract employees, or if you outsource your positions to a third party. And the range is as little as $500 membership for small organizations with less than 50 positions, $2,500 for a large organization that's between that $250 to $500 range. And the maximum level we have for companies is $10,000 for those that have over 1,001 positions. And I know we have educational, public members, potential members on the call. We also have membership levels for these groups. I encourage you to check out our website. It's inlandport.org, and you can see more details. Finally, the last slide here. We've gone over a lot of information today. I welcome the opportunity to meet with companies and organizations individually so I can address your specific transportation needs. Please reach out to me. We can schedule time to talk. And this applies not only to companies. I know my focus has been on companies because it's so important to get them on board, but it applies to all of our attendees today. I know a lot of you on the call work for various local governments, nonprofits, other organizations, and I know you interact a lot with local businesses. You see the transportation mobility needs for these businesses, and I encourage you to reach out to me so we can discuss how to bring those local businesses in and share what transportation resources are available. Because what I've learned today and what I've loved these last 3 weeks about this job, it's partnership. And we've got so many players in this area. And as long as we stay united as a team and partners, we're gonna see some great increases in this area. I love it. I want to thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope you will answer the call, get involved, join us to ensure the continued success of the Southern Dallas County Inland Port area. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman, and no pressure. You know, you're going to take us to that next level. And we just know the board, as I said, has vetted and done a great job in bringing you on board. You know, like I said, your vita speaks for itself. And with that being said, since we had kind of released Mr. Thomas to attend the services, Alberta, you were on the call earlier as chair of the Inland Port Transportation Management Association. Any commentary with regards to all we've gone through in this fourth symposium?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Commissioner Price, Councilman Atkins, for the board. Definitely, Gary Thomas was a man who came on board. He got with us, and I really feel that this became a passionate call, to provide these services. And we really moved forward, and I just want to applaud the board. The board worked very hard to quickly move forward to get the goals and objectives accomplished. So I really applaud the board. I applaud what they've done and what we've done as a team. So therefore, we are very cohesive and we are really tied together. Laura has come along in the last couple of weeks, and she's met with each and every board member. Now she's getting ready to start touching the community. So we are looking forward to the next step and to our future. So thank you, Laura, and thank you, Commissioner, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. And as I said, I'm going to let Councilman Atkins close out here in just a minute as well. But we can't say enough about the North Central Texas Council of Government and Michael Morris. I think all of us who have worked in this area or have lived in this region understand how, and I don't want to use lucky, I want to say blessed we are to have Michael Morris in this area. When Councilman Atkins and I told him, you know, this is how we wanted to fashion, this is the solution we wanted to provide, he said, there's a model already. You guys don't have to recreate it. It's not percolating right now, but there is a model. And he did a soft handoff to the two of us. And from there, he said, hey, I'm in. Also, as Chair Blair said, Gary came along. In talking about, brain trust, you can't say enough about the intellectual capital he has for mobility solutions. I was glad to see Chairman Wageman said, look, DART is all in. And so we just want to say, thank you. Star Transit, those of us who know this history, the Uber solution and the Polix, Gary bought those in. But, Star Transit was one, and Good Morning Balk Springs. We bought them in from Kaufman County, and they came in, and of course, they have spread their wings. And so we just want to say thank you. I want to thank all of you who are on the call, all of you for your commitment. And we can't say enough. As I said, and this is just my opinion, next to water and sewer, transportation has got to be it. Now, I can make, and no offense to electrical, my electrical partners and my gas partners, I can figure out how to make that work. I haven't figured out how to make it work without water, maybe sewer, but not without water. But transportation is it. Growth and development follows transportation. The late Governor Mark White told me, he said, Commissioner, he said, you can build a multi-million-dollar mall in the middle of nowhere. But he said, if you don't have any roads to get there, he said it'll die. And I know Councilman Atkins knows a little bit about that with Redbird reimagined, as we've had to create tentacles that get you. You can bypass it all you want to, but if you can't get there, they won't come. So, Councilman, you want to close us out?
Yeah, yes, Commissioner Price. Thank you for your knowledge and your support. And Ms. Freeman, thank you for coming on. The job is just begun. And I also want to thank Gary, for passing the baton off to you. We always talk about transportation. We always talk about logistics. But one thing we got to put on the plate, job creativity, training. We got to make sure that these companies out there who joined the TMA give us the data on what type of job they need to be recruited. If we don't have that, transportation is lost, because Seabrooks, like you said, they got to be trained, they got to be educated. And I hope, Commission, that we can give them another agenda that go along with this TMA, career management, training. We got to know the people in the resident, in the community, what type of job is in the port. Is it logistic? Is it institution? Or what type of job? And they don't know that. And when they do get on the bus, they have opportunity for those companies to look at their resume and to recruit them. It will also get UNT Dallas, Paul Quinn College, and Cedar Valley an opportunity when they talk to those students who come there. Here is a career path to these jobs. And we'd also have transportation to get those young students who want to have their career in inland port. The inland port is not about a whole lot of warehouses. It's about many different type of career. And there, with that, Commissioner Price, gonna be quiet, but we need to hire people locally in our community. We want to make sure that people do not need a car. They can depend on public transportation to get to the job. And one thing that I realized that we had so many employees that I call poverty poor because of transportation costs. Because sometimes they spend over a third of their income on transportation. And that's called poverty, that's poor. So we got to make sure that we do have the right type of public transportation. Again, Michael Morris and Commissioner, everything you said, I don't have to be redundant. You know, laid the plate out and the tables are laid great. And I don't think we just got to serve the plate to the person who want to be at the table. Again, Commissioner Laura, is in your hand now. So take her to the next generation.
Thank you, Councilman. And again, to all of you on the call, Dr. Seabrooks, Ryan, thank you because at the end of the day, we need to be able to know those metrics. And Ms. Freeland, that'll be a 2 for her. And of course, Madam Chair Blair and all of the officers who are part of the Inland Port Transportation Management Association. There's not anything else to say in this 4th annual symposium other than, you know, stay safe, stay prayed up. You know, I guess the older I get, my mom told me this was going to happen, but the older I get, the closer I get. Well, never mind. Nonetheless, but stay prayed up, stay safe, because nothing is promised. As Gary's on his way to Chief Spiller's funeral just a couple of weeks ago, he retired. Today, he's transitioned. And so, you know, tomorrow is not promised. And so, to borrow from a friend of mine, we need to do all we can while we can. Don't be a funeral like Vernon Johns had to preach, but nonetheless, that's a whole nother story. Again, God bless you all. Thank you for your energy, and we will continue. Ms. Freeland, thank you. And with that, Councilman, Madam President, all attendees, you know, this meeting, this summit is adjourned. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're dismissed.